Casablanca, Morocco. Standing just inside the lobby of Casablanca's Novotel, Koli Koivogui was hard to miss, dressed in a bright red zip-up track top bearing the insignia of the Guinean national soccer team. Koivogui, a large, barrel-chested coach, stood guard. He was making sure that uninvited player agents or scouts did not harass members of his team on the eve of the 16-team African Nations Championship, a competition for national teams with rosters made up solely of players who play club games in their birth countries. For coaches and other team officials like Koivogui, the top priority is making sure the teams excel, with distractions kept to a minimum. But for many players present, the biennial tournament, now in its 5th edition, represents a rare opportunity for a life-changing event, the chance for previously unheralded players to make their way onto national teams or into better-paying leagues in Europe, Asia, and the Middle East. I can spot them, Koivogui said, suspiciously watching the hotel's revolving door for agents. No agents can come here without permission. Koivogui's effectiveness is debatable. With about $6 billion spent on soccer's transfer market every year, and billions more spent on salaries, the most intrepid deal brokers make sure to find out what rooms players are staying in and then phone them directly. Others make contact via social networks. The players understand the business, too. As members of the Guinea squad lounged on sofas in the hotel lobby, they discussed the fate of one of their countrymen, a talent who wasn't in Morocco for the tournament. The player was Naby Keita, a supremely skilled midfielder. Last summer, the Premier League club Liverpool agreed to make him the most expensive African player ever. Newspaper reports this month in Britain and Germany, where Keita plays for RB Leipzig, said the Reds were so eager to bring forward Keita's transfer that they were willing to add $20 million to the record $85 million fee the clubs had agreed upon if the midfielder would move to Liverpool in the current January transfer window instead of in the summer. Keita will make millions from the deal whenever he joins. That is the dream of every player in Guinea, where a top player makes about $1,200 a month, often playing games on uneven fields in crumbling stadiums that bear little resemblance to the lush turf and glass and steel soccer cathedrals across Europe. So the agents come to this dusty North African destination and the 3 other cities hosting games seeking the next Keita, whether team officials want them there or not. Ibrahim Assange Khan, who at 21 is just a year younger than Keita, frequently shares midfield duties on the senior national team with his more illustrious compatriot. An energetic and skillful box-to-box player, Assange Khan goes by the nickname Zidane, after the former French World Cup winning star, and was Guinea's captain here. He is currently the star performer for Haroya Athletic Club back home in Conakry. Soccer's middlemen were keen to seek him out, and he was happy to oblige. Many African players come from very poor families, said Assange Khan, who lives with his mother and sister and, despite his nickname, picks the Ivorian midfielder Yaya Toure as his soccer idol. Assange Khan, whose father died when he was younger, is his family's main breadwinner. So a contract in Europe would benefit those back home, too, he insisted. Keita is a source of encouragement and inspiration. Every time I talk to him, Assange Khan said, he gives me advice. Until the early 1990s, most of Africa's best players played at home. Then the value of media rights for European soccer soared, and those new riches enabled clubs to scour the world for the best talent. A change in legislation removed previous restrictions on importing foreign talent. Since then, foreign-based players have made up the backbone of most African national squads. More than 1,000 players from just 5 West African nations, Nigeria, Ghana, Cameroon, Ivory Coast, and Senegal, earn their living in Europe, according to a 2017 study published by the SEAS Football Observatory. The increasing availability of sports like soccer on cable television is also fueling players' ambition, according to Kalusha Bwalya, the first player from Zambia to get a professional contract in Europe, when he moved to Belgium in 1985. Back then there were few scouts. It was a Belgian in Zambia on business who spotted Bwalya and took home word of his talent. With talent you can travel, said Bwalya, the former president of Zambia's Soccer Federation. Players want to compete in the football they see on television. They want to go to the English Premier League, France, Belgium, to Holland, Germany, Spain, and Portugal. This is a beautiful opportunity, he said of the event in Morocco, for players from over here to showcase what they can do. But officials with the Confederation of African Football, the continent's governing body, which is responsible for the African Nations Championship, want the competition to be more than a 3-week beauty parade for players hoping to show off their skills for prospective employers in far-off lands. Junior Binyam, the Director of Communications for the Confederation of African Football, said domestic players also needed a way to impress their national team coaches, who were often foreigners, and sometimes didn't even live in the country they coached. Those coaches, Binyam said, subscribe to the philosophy that a player who is employed abroad is automatically better than one who plays domestically. They'd pick a second or third division player in France over a local player, Binyam said of the foreign coaches. Yet the most attentive audience in Morocco this month may be the agents who can facilitate a move to Europe. While African players populate teams large and small throughout the continent, the process to get them there from their African homes remains chaotic and controversial. Cautionary tales of youngsters left homeless in a foreign country after being invited for trials by unscrupulous scouts are not uncommon. Typically, organizers get 10 requests for passes from agents or scouts for each game, according to Tariq Najem, General Secretary at the Moroccan Soccer Federation. Attendance at the tournament, which runs through February 4, has been mixed, with vast swaths of empty seats at games, especially those that did not feature the host nation. A day after Sankhan scored the only goal in Guinea's final game, a 1-0 victory in a dead rubber against Mauritania, the team's elimination from the tournament was sealed by 2 defeats in its opening games. Mohamed Belmaachi, a player agent based in Norway, received permission to make his pitch. Belmaachi, who had travelled between venues in a Porsche Cayenne, spoke with Sankhan for 15 minutes. He said he was convinced that Sankhan could make it at a higher level. He plans to travel to Guinea next month for further talks. We have to take it step by step, Belmaachi said. It's not so simple to take a player from Africa to Europe. To be sure, the African Nations Championship plays second fiddle to the far more prestigious Africa Cup of Nations, a wildly popular tournament that features the continent's top national teams and their European-based stars. And yet previous editions of the Nations Championship confirm how good a proving ground it can be for domestic players. 4 of the players who started for the reigning champion, Democratic Republic of Congo, in the 2016 final quickly found new clubs in Belgium. A few members of the Angola team that lost in the 2011 final were also snapped up, according to Arturo Silva, the president of Angola's Soccer Federation. A good performance at the African Nations Championship could also lead to an unexpected place at this summer's World Cup in Russia for those players whose countries have qualified for the competition. "It's a bridge," said Binyam, the Confederation of African Football spokesman. Whether the national federations like it or not, and no matter how closely coaches like Koivogui monitor the hotel lobby, players may also traverse the other bridge, to Europe, or to another of the world's high-paying leagues. The event is taking place during one of soccer's two trading windows. Morocco's star forward Achraf Ben Charki is being lined up for a lucrative move to Saudi Arabia. The news prompted an angry response from the Moroccan Soccer Federation head, Fouza Lekjat, who insisted Ben Charki was currently focusing on his mission with the Moroccan national football team. Transfer speculation can hurt a team's performance regardless of whether the player stays or goes, according to Guinea's general manager, Mamadou Bald, who said agents whispered in the ears of the players to reduce their efforts sometimes. Bald said, "They are told to protect themselves so as not to get hurt and damage a potential transfer."